This has just arrived, and it's hopefully the grains. I think it is. Here we are.
Oh yes, and it's in a little milk pouch.
It says put the whole bag into a clean glass jar. And there's hardly any of them in there, so we've got to look after them. You know, I'm quite literal person, so that's how I read it.
How to make this start at the top.
Oh, I start at the top. Oh dear. Okay, well I'll just go get some milk and a thingy and come back with it all.
Okay.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes, yes. Okay.
This is milk that we buy by putting €1 in, putting the bottle under and pressing all the buttons, and it comes out of a little dispensing machine, and it's filled up once a day by the farmer, and it's just raw milk. So this should be absolutely perfect. And I've got a nice jug here. Now the problem is that this is actually chilled out of the fridge. We picked it up yesterday. And there's my jar. And we just let it sit there until it gets... Well, after we finished eating, we can probably add it. So it's exciting. Well, this now has reached room temperature. That actually took an hour or so. And I don't know whether you can see. You probably can if I show you. There's a little lump there. Can you see the little lumps? There's another one here.
So if you cut the corner of the bag off.
Well, I'm just showing you because once it goes in, you won't see them. There, now you can really see the little grains. See? They're hard, like cauliflower. That wasn't very successful. It's like most things I do, isn't it? Nearly successful. And there's two little ones. Now the little ones, although they look like insignificant, apparently it's the little ones that are the new ones. And that's where you get all the new ones end up as breeders. So it is quite important to get these last little... There's one. And the last one. And there it is, stuck on the side of the jar. Now these have come all the way to the south of France from Scotland. So we're going to let them, I'm going to cover them with a cloth, and we're going to leave them in the dark to recover. And I'm not anticipating them recovering very quickly.
Grain on your thumbnail.
Yes. My goodness me. You spot everything, don't you, Paul? So I think what we'll do, I'll cover them and come back to them in a couple of days. I don't think they'll do that fast. It's quite warm, but it's not that warm. I've had the oven on, so there's no way you can say this is south of France temperature. It was 12 degrees yesterday, and this is early June, south of France. Something very odd with the temperatures, isn't there? So you have to keep this stuff in the dark, and then you let it recover. But once we get it going, it will start, in theory, breeding new ones, and then I can give it to friends and family. Good, isn't it? Right, this is the new Kefir grains sitting quietly now, and we cover them and keep them dark. They were originally from the mountain range in Russia.
Caucasus.
Yes, the Caucasus mountain range, and that's where they come from. And you need a grain to make more grains, but apparently they will readily do that. So we'll watch this and see. Right, well, it's been 2 days. 2 days since, this is the milk, 2 days since this pile of little tiny grains arrived. Now I want to show you. Look at the top. Look how it's all bubbly. It's really alive. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the new milk and I'm going to add this because it's recovered. I could strain it and try again, but there's no point because this was to get it regenerated. It's now feeling better. I don't want to upset it. We're going to feed it more milk and then we're going to strain them out, and then those grains we will then reuse. So we're not going to upset it. We're going to invite it to be happy. Just look what it's doing. It's absolutely magical. So it's definitely working. And the grains are going in, plus the milk curds, plus the milk, plus the whey. So, now, I know everyone says just keep reusing the jar, but it just pushes my disgust mechanism. I do like clean things. And yes, I'm sure it works, and I'm sure they're correct, and I know I'm doing something illogical, but that just makes me happy, using a clean jar and stirring it gently, not to upset them too much, not to break them up, and making certain I leave everything behind in the milk. Okay. That particular milk was also from fresh cows, unpasteurised, loads of bacteria in it, so it should be doing very nicely. I'm going to wrap it up and put the little string thing back on and leave it in the dark on my, just literally a piece of furniture in there. That way it's in sight and I won't forget to look. And hopefully it will be quicker this time. But last time was 2 days. It's actually getting slightly warmer. We've had days at 12 degrees in June. June. South of France, June. Never mind. So we'll see what it does. But I think that's going to be absolutely magical. I'm so pleased to have my new grains. Right. This is now, well, it's an interesting thing. I left it for the day and it looked like this. It's fizzed up dramatically and it's fermented so much faster than just with using the probiotic mixture itself. And because this is my first time, I had no idea it was going to do that. And I wasn't in a position to do anything with it. So I put it in the fridge to keep it from growing too fast. So that's straight out the fridge today. Now we're going to, I want you to see really. You see how it's done all this? Okay. Now what I've been told from other people is that the grains generally are found in this top layer. So this cream is where they mainly sit. Whether that's because they rise or they like cream, I don't know. But we need to get them all out because as this is new, there's not very many of them. So we're going to be very careful. Now, I've also looked up some details because a lot of people tell you have to use plastic. That isn't actually true. Stainless steel will be fine. And so I've got a stainless one simply because I can't find any plastic ones. What isn't okay are the sort of reactive metals like iron, copper, those sort of things. It's simply the acid. You're not protecting the grains, you're protecting the flavour because it's quite an acid product, which is the whole point of it, if you remember. So I've got to get it in here without making a mess. Oh, well. Now, you've got to try pushing it through. And everyone seems to be agreed that reusing that pot is a better idea than starting again with a fresh one. All of this is working on the basis that you growing good bacteria is far better than trying to block bad bacteria, because the good bacteria grow so fast that the bad ones don't stand a chance. But this is not going to be easy. My goodness me. Now, I can't tell which bits are which. Can you, Paul?
No. You don't feel any sort of gritty resistance?
Yes, but I can't see which bits are they. That looks like a gritty resistance there. There's one. That's definitely one. There. This is going to be generally a time-consuming effort. I can see that. This is the downside of using them, isn't it? But I'm very keen on taking out the little baby ones, because apparently it's the baby ones that grow new ones. They're the fertile ones. Yeah, you've got gritty bits everywhere now. It's like having little pieces of cauliflower in the cheese sauce. There's one. See, that's very, very tiny, that one. There's one. Actually, there's quite a few in here now.
Okay.
So I just put those over to the side. Everyone tells you try not to break them up, or else you're trying to get even smaller ones out. So I think I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to put that. Yeah, but there's more in here that I can get out. So let's just get the last bits out. As a general rule, everyone says do not wash them. They don't like being away from a milk product. They like to be in milk. So those are the things that I'm going to try to do. I'm going to pop that back in. It's hard to believe that such a small thing could have had such a profound effect. I'm used to doing things like yogurt, where you use a probiotic mixture. But this is just so fast. I had no idea it would be so incredibly fast. There you are. Now, we've got to put a cloth over that. Now, there seems to be some general confusion as to whether some people seem to make it perfectly adequately storing it in daylight, but they seem to be living in countries where the daylight isn't like the south of France. So I think we'll keep it underneath our cloth until I've got further evidence one way or another. And it seems a very, very robust product until it starves. That seems to be one of the nastiest things you can do to it. Okay? Or putting it near bleach or something like that, which is obvious. But you would need something that's... No, you wouldn't. So, this now should just keep going, and your grains should keep on and on and on. This is UHT milk, so it's been sterilised. The reason I've chosen it is because I haven't got any of the other at this moment, which I would prefer. The raw milk, when you add that, you've already got a lot of probiotics in the milk itself. Different ones, apparently, than you get from just the kefir. And the kefir alone will produce over 30 different types of probiotics. You don't get anything like that out of those pills. It really is something wonderful. And the only big change I've noticed from drinking it is my teeth stay cleaner longer. And Paul says the same. It could be something else we're doing, but I don't think so. So it does do something quite profound. But you've got to keep adding it to your system, I believe. So we're going to keep doing that. This milk is a good quality milk. It's high in fat again, but nowhere near as high in fat as what you saw go through there. That was raw milk and wonderful. Okay. Now these are the grains. They've gone into the milk, and because they are, I suppose they must be lighter, they've all floated to the top, and you can actually see them there. They're little grains. They look like little cooked pudding rice grains. And that's it. And this is bubbling now automatically in its pot. All I've done is transfer it and just mix it a bit. And now it's frothing up too. So you can see these are really alive. So we probably won't leave these for the 2 to 3 days that I was leaving the probiotic mixture. We probably will just leave it one day and eat it the next and just keep going like that. And that's enough milk for us for one day, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, look at all of that. That's really quite magical, isn't it?
Try some.
Oh, you want me to try some? This is a clean spoon. Oh, wow.
Super fizzy.
Super fizzy. Super fizzy.
Right.
But it's much sweeter than the probiotics we were using.
Okay.
Much sweeter.
Wow.
It's also got a more of a tart flavour. You know that it's a fermented, a bit more like a cheese, but no cheese smell. It's a bit more sour. I like that very much.
More lively than the
but really
bottled
lively.
version.
Oh my goodness, we're going to love that. We'll have that now for
I
breakfast.
think we'll have to stick it in the fridge as well, stop it going wild.
Yes, it's quite extraordinary, isn't it? I'll go and put some in there and store some in the fridge. That's another problem, isn't it? I don't know what we're going to put it in the fridge in.
We've got plenty of these jars.
But wow, that's as fizzy as Coca-Cola if you stir it.
Wow.
Yes, it is wow. It is wow. It's wonderful.
Okay.
Oh, that's really nice. It's been 24 hours. As you can see, this is the milk that came out of the UHT pasteurised. There's a lot of debate on the internet and also written on Google about whether you can use UHT milk. Well, you can, and here is the evidence for it. Now, it's maybe not ideal, but that's all I had at the time. And as you can see, it's done pretty well. 24 hours. The grains are absolutely magical. And once a week we will be able to get hold of some real raw milk. But this happened, can you see the bubbles? You see all the little bubbles? All the little bubbles. This is a very lively mixture. Now we're getting down to what is left of our kefir grains, and you can see there's already more than there were. They are bigger than when we bought them. And this is 3 days or 4 days? 3 days.
They've done really well.
They are obviously going to keep growing. Now, from what I can see, the amount of milk that I need per day, I don't need much more than that. So what I will do, I will eventually, probably this week, divide them in half and freeze half. But people say you need to double bag it. Your biggest enemy in preserving these in the deep freeze is freezer burn, which is just a technical term for the frost getting in. So I think what you need to do is to let them grow a little bit more. We'll give them some more of that milk. And this now will be ready for when we come home, if I put it in the fridge. Because we do like it cold, don't we, Paul? And it's made a very nice, thick... it's not as creamy as the other milk, but then the milk wasn't as creamy, was it? Basically, the kefir you get out is the kefir you put in with your guarding your milk. Grains don't, they digest what you give them. They don't magically change a tedious milk into a fabulous milk. But this is not a bad milk. It's from the mountain range. It's supposed to be a very good UHT. But they can withstand this. So also the thing about using plastic as opposed to metal, it's metals that corrode when they are near acid. That's the problem. It's not to do with preserving your grains. Now these grains will starve to death if I don't put them back in some milk, which is what I'll do. And that now ends everything I have to say for the moment about kefir grains. This is the most secure, safe way to protect your kefir grains from all the possible mistakes that you're going to make. These grains are 8 days since we received them in the post. They were about that size at that point, something like that. And this has grown. Now, I don't need this amount to go in my milk that I use in the mornings every day. So I'm going to divide them in half like this. And I like using this spatula because it's wobbly. So it gets nicely underneath the grains. It will lift them. And I'm going to put that amount there in the kefir jar. And now that will go on my work surface when I cover it to make tomorrow's breakfast. So the first thing I'm going to do is to explain that these do well if they are frozen. Okay? Frozen. So I'm going to freeze these. And I've got 3 freezer bags here to do them in. Okay? Just a little freezer bag. Nothing complicated. I'm going to do that. And look, there's little ones left. We want all the little ones out. But they are going to be difficult to get back out the plastic bags, so I'm not going to do that. Right, so we've now finished with that. Okay. Now this is great, but we need to add a little drop of milk. They should always be happy in milk. Not water, never wash them, just add a little drop of milk for the deep freeze. Okay, nothing complicated, something small, and that will help them when you defrost them. Right. I'm going to tie a knot in the bag. If you use zippy bags, it's better, but they cost more and I'd have to go shopping and I haven't seen any around. And I then wrap them again. Do the same, and then I'm not taking any chances. I'm doing it a third time because the big danger with freezing them is not that you've frozen them. It's that they can get freezer burn, and we don't want that. So this is a very secure way. You now have a backup in your deep freeze. That's a good place to keep your backup. The next lot I get are going to go to family and friends. And then you've got a community that you can go and ask for, because these are not cheap to buy and mistakes happen. Usually the mistake that happens is they starve to death. Something happens and you stop using them for too long and they die. So that is going to go in my deep freeze. Okay, and this is for breakfast. It'll go in for 24 hours. So tomorrow I will strain it and then I will flavour it with fruit. And the one that's already secondary fermenting, that one I will have for the breakfast tomorrow. So that's roughly how I do it. It works really, really well, and it makes a very, very nutritious addition to anyone's diet at literally no effort.